Hello and welcome to the SCOUTCAST. Welcome back. We had some technical issues earlier, but hopefully everything will run smoothly this time. My name is Joe.
Who's that?
My name is Rich.
Welcome everyone. What is coming up in this show?
Well, if people can hear me, there's fixture chaos to talk about. We've got postponements, we've got COVID, we've got everything. It's all going wrong at the moment. Where now for all of our carefully crafted plans, which are lying in ruin? KDB, does he have a future in our teams, even with double game weeks? Well, City might have a double, City might have a triple. Who knows what he's going to have? I'll be keeping him, or we're looking to get rid. There's no captaincy video this week, so we're going to talk about that tonight. This week we've got some good options. Salah, Kane, Son, Zaha could all be good choices. We're going to talk about the usual stuff, transfer plans, captains, and fixtures to frisk.
Excellent. And now I don't have the Liverpool-Newcastle game up on any screens at the moment. So if either of you two have, how's it going so far? 0-0 or any goals?
I do. It is 0-0. Callum Wilson had a one-on-one that he missed. It looks a bit like the second half of that West Brom game. I think Liverpool are going to concede at some point tonight.
Okay, well that time stamps the Scoutcast well. It's coming up to 8:30, and we've had half an hour of the final game of a very, very challenging game week indeed. Lots of wild carded into this. Some have come out okay. Breathing a sigh of relief. They've managed to get rid of lots of players that didn't play anyway. Some, however, have just bought into this and they're wondering where their blank and double game week plans are going. So that's something we're going to be discussing, as you say. Just before we look at our game weeks, how they're going so far, understand as you've been playing Fantasy 5, that's something that the Fantasy Football Scout have been plugging. What's all that about?
Well, yeah, I've been playing it. I've been tweeting about it a fair bit. It's a completely free game that's running at the moment. So all you've got to do is sign up with your email. No extra details needed. You pick 5 players over 5 different weeks, 5 different matches, and it sounds really easy. Basically, if your 5 players exceed their points prediction, you win 10 grand. So it sounds really easy. I thought I was going to nail it straight away. I've done it for 3 weeks now.
Okay.
It's really not as easy as it seems. The point scoring is exactly the same as normal FPL. There's just no bonus points, so you still get the same points for a goal, points for an assist. Yeah, and as I said, you pick your team and you just got to. So it's the balance between trying to find a player who's got quite a low predicted points haul that you think is going to do well, or just going for someone like Fernandez, who's obviously got a higher points projection but has more chance of reaching it. Yeah, it's really good, really simple, and if you're into like the Soccer Saturday, the Soccer Saturday 5 games thing and all the stuff like that, it's just a quick thing you can do to try and win yourself some money. So yeah, I recommend it. It's good.
Good stuff. That check that out on Fantasy Football Scout. We'll have lots about that, I'm sure. But yeah, looks interesting. You mentioned about if it was only that easy, and fantasy football isn't only that easy, as we so well know in this week. So we're going to start with your team. You are. Well, we're all doing about the same, but you're doing marginally better. You're doing well this week. It's 35 with more to play tonight. So you've got the Liverpool guys tonight, including Salah. But you got Cancelo in for Chilwell, I understand. So, but there was a narrow escape. You actually did okay from that deal, weirdly.
Kind of. I haven't now. It was, I was cursing when Chilwell got the assist. And then, luckily they conceded, so it didn't look too bad. Because I had Eiling, who came on for Cancelo, who outscored Chilwell. But obviously, without Son now playing, I would have got Eiling off the bench anyway. So it didn't really make any difference in the end. Who knows? It's hard to work out what you could have got your own. I wanted to get Cancelo because I didn't think Chilwell looked quite right the other day, along with Reece James, and I thought Cancelo was absolutely amazing. And I thought Chilwell was actually brilliant against Villa, so I kind of immediately want him back. So it feels a bit of a sideways move. I might genuinely just move him back, I might get him straight back.
He had that ankle knock, and we all thought, he's going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
But and as you say, Cancelo looked like the must-have. Really, he was so creative in the last City game, but then the game was cancelled. I mean, it's no fault of yours, no fault of anyone's. It's just you can't score any points if the game's been postponed. For the benefit of those listening on the podcast, you got Martinez in goal. You got a Liverpool defensive double up of Robertson, Alexander-Arnold. So if the game stays as it is at the moment, 0-0, could be exciting.
It's so stressful. It's so stressful to double up.
You're either going to come out with that with 3 or 4 points, or you could come out with that with like 20, 25 points. You don't know. Cancelo, as you mentioned, Salah captain, Fernandes vice captain, Son, Rafinha, Soucek, Rafinha getting 8 points, Bamford 8 points as well. Those Leeds guys really getting you through this game.
No Mahrez, Joe.
No Mahrez. This is amazing. So you've got a really good... that simple move. And then you've got Adams to complete your 15 there. Ayling on the bench, coming into your team. Mitchell, surprise turnout for Mitchell of Palace. The lesser spotted Mitchell has appeared. Calvert-Lewin and Forster there. So you've got some bench points coming in. But yeah, now last week we looked at your team, and we weren't kind about it, and you weren't kind about it, and it was Mahrez was sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But the simple removal of Mahrez has made your team look quite good.
Well, it wasn't that simple, because the trouble with a player like Mahrez is he's that 8.2 million mark, and it's hard to move him somewhere in a straight swap. Because it doesn't really have anyone around the same price. So you either move him up to someone like De Bruyne or Mane or someone, or you move him right down and strengthen everywhere else. And that's why I've ended up with the 2 Liverpool defence, because I moved him down to Rafinha, and then I've upgraded my defence. So it had to be done. Yeah, no, really good. I think the average so far, what are we talking, 25? It's going to go up with Salah's captaincy return. Even if he blanks, it's still going to go up with his if he gets 6 points for captains. Because he's so well owned. His effective ownership is something like 155%, which factors in the captaincy into that ownership. I'll put me next, so I'm going to qualify for the cup. That's what it's all
about.
I know. That's all we care about, the 3 of us.
Sometimes, some years I don't even qualify, and it's usually in a week like this, snow or something. So I've on the face of it got the same points, 29, but marginally less. I've got 32 with Salah and Mane. So Mane was new in. I took Lamptey out for Justin and KDB out for Mane. So hopefully Mane gets me something. We were talking a bit before it came on air, so about why I made those moves. I had planned Robertson and Son in, and I just, after seeing the last couple of Spurs games, I know some of them have been trickier fixtures, different opposition. I just couldn't face going double Spurs. I'm also thinking about getting, if we have a double game week, Vardy in for that, for Kane. I kind of... Son to Rashford was a possibility, and that was my rationale behind Son, was to get Son and then move him down to Rashford. But then Rashford had a shoulder injury, turned out to be nothing, because he came on and he scored in the final 5 minutes or so. So that actually would have been an okay move. But then I realised I could get Mane in. And then I did all the comparison tool checks and Fantasy Football Scout members area and all those kinds of things. And I thought, wow, I could get Mane in. And then I checked his ownership, and only about 4 people own him or something. Well, it seems that way. And I thought, that's not going to last long. And he is a good player. And he's looked great for Liverpool. Liverpool are looking capable, apart from West Brom, of hammering teams. So I thought I'll go for that. So that's where I'm at now. Charlie Taylor is my problem. I got him in the week before, and I thought it was a guaranteed clean sheet, but now he looks like he needs replacing. So I've had a few questions about that. So I'll address them, because I'm in a Charlie Taylor sort of situation. For the benefit of those listening on the podcast, I've got McCarthy 9 points. Thank you very much. Justin with 2 points. Stones didn't play. Taylor 1 point. Soucek 3 points. Mane and Salah's captain, please do something. Fernandes 6 points. Calvert-Lewin didn't play. Kane didn't play. Bamford 8 points. And on my bench I've got Kufal, Dale Stevens. See, when Dale Stevens came on for his 1 point for Burnley, I was cheering. I was bailed out there by the ex-Brighton man. And then Mitchell performing for the first time in months. So I've ended up with 10 players, which isn't, I think, compared to some people, I've come out of it okay. I'd like to have 11, but 10 players will do. Just hope Mane and Salah do something. But
so you were happy not getting 0 points off your bench this time, Joe, right?
Well, yeah, because I needed my bench this time. Most weeks I don't need it, and then suddenly needed it now. The good thing about this is Koufal's had his rest, so he's back in. He's going to start. I need to replace Taylor. Stevens is just 1 point, whatever. Mitchell, you know. The thing is, if I'm getting 3 points or maybe 7 points or 6 points from my bench, at the moment, it's still small fry. I mean, I know you had a Leeds defender, Ayling, this time. He's very, very benchable, and he can get the odd clean sheet. And that's the sort of thing I would be looking at, really. And at the moment, with the uncertainty of the fixtures, I'm taking a bit more of a backseat. I've been advocating this sort of casual approach with my team, and I'm going to do it even more this week and really, really wait until the deadline, really. But I'll have a plan in mind, which will be Taylor probably to Dallas, who will sit on my bench, and I'm just going to leave that until about an hour before deadline, and then hopefully there won't be any COVID news, and then hopefully there won't be COVID news after that, and everything will go swimmingly. So that's me. Now let's come on to you, Rich. So welcome, Rich. This is your first Scoutcast.
Thank you.
We had the technical issues earlier, which is customary for all people's debut. We like to ruin them, but hopefully we can go swimmingly from now on.
And then we ruin their season, so you got.
And then we ruin your season. So
you'll struggle to ruin mine, believe me.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Come on with this. Oh. Yeah, wait until you get a good rank, and then we'll get you back on to ruin it. No, you did an audacious 8 points. This is a good thing. Scoutcast debut with an 8 point hit. There we go. So your Maverick status is confirmed. Definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'll just for the benefit of our podcast listener, I'm going to run through your team, and you tell me who came in, who was new in, and who was removed. So you got Martinez in goal, Robertson, Zuma, and James, the non-playing Chelsea defenders. Oh, yeah. Salah captain, fingers crossed for tonight. Fernandez, Son didn't play. Rafinha, Harrison, 8 points each. Kane didn't play. Bamford 8 points. All the Leeds players got 8 points for you. And on your bench you got Balbuena, Brewster, Kilman, and Johnston. So you've got players that are playing. So yeah, what was the 8 point hit?
Yeah, so I mean I think it's the first 8 point hit I've even done in the year of 2020. Not ever, but in the year of 2020, I think it's the first one that I've done. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it's actually paid off. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
Sorry. I was a bit worried my headphones were playing up again.
No, they're good.
We're just intent. We're just, we've got our attention.
Yeah, you've got it. Yeah, this is.
Yeah. So I was thinking long and hard if I should do it or not, because I didn't have Bruno. And every single week it was killing me, and so I just decided I did KDB to Bruno, because we only had that very short turnaround, didn't we? I think it was 18 hours we had to make a decision, so I did that move, and then I thought I want Bamford, and so I did Watkins to Bamford, and then I was stood outside, where was I? Outside M&S. Waiting for my girlfriend about 10 minutes before the deadline, and I'd been thinking all week about Ben Rama and if I should move him to Harrison, and I just decided to go for it. I like Ben Rama, so I made it a -8, and like I say, it's the first one I've done this year, and I couldn't believe it paid off, to be honest.
How many points did that you then?
So I removed 3 points, and then I got 22 in.
Wow!
So
you're smooth.
That's so smooth.
Yeah. It's a rough and a smooth, because it is probably is a smooth. But if I hadn't done it, I mean, I would have been on 15, 16 points.
Yeah.
So
I noticed, because
lucky I didn't go into M&S.
So hopefully, I mean, your Marks and what a Marks and Spencer's trip. I do quite like these ones. Often on a Saturday on deadline, we have to go shopping or whatever, and it's just the tales of going shopping. I know Mark used to have those tales of like having to go clothes shopping or something with his partner, and frantically, secretly looking at the scores that day, and
or connection drops when you go into a stall or something,
waving his phone around the changing rooms. But you were luckily outside Marks and Spencer's.
It's lucky. I mean, I really was on the fence, and I think it was just having that shortened deadline, and because I'm building towards I'm trying to bench boost.
Yeah.
So all of these moves were getting me an extra double game week player as well. So I mean that helped.
Well, they were great moves because as you said, you've gone from would have been a disastrous week through no fault of your own, through the postponements and mysterious injuries and rotation, to suddenly looking quite a respectable week. So hopefully a green arrow, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I've still got Salah captain playing right now, and I've got Robertson as well. And I mean, you mentioned you had your lesser spotted Mitchell. I got lesser spotted Kilman, and I mean, he almost got 6 or 7 points.
Well, that's one of the things about a week like this. It was always 1 week over winter where we get like loads of rotation, and that rotation tends to mean that the likes of Kilman and Mitchell actually do play. So yeah, I was waiting for a Dale Stevens start. I think that would have topped off the week for me. But
I wasn't confident that Kilman would play. He was. I mean, I looked at my defenders. I had 5 defenders, and I thought 3 or 4 of them I'm happy with. You know, I'm happy with Robertson, Zuma, Reece James, Balbuena. It was Kilman was the one I wanted to get rid of, and I mean, I did consider a -12 to get rid of Kilman as well. But
wow.
Yeah, but I've saved that for this week because I'm free hitting. I have to use a transfer this week, so yeah.
Okay, well, we'll come to your transfer plans, and also we're going to have an extended look at the captaincy a bit later because we usually do a captaincy video. So I thought we'd move that into the Scoutcast schedule this week to give everyone a chance to look at the key captain choices. But yeah, I think the first subject we've got to look at really is COVID postponements. What's happening with the fixtures? We've been planning for ages for this time. Wildcarders have been waiting, preparing, and now, chaos. What's the latest? I mean, what do we know? And I understand there's been a couple of community questions.
It has, and tough topic for us to talk about because who the hell knows what's going to happen. But yeah, Game Week 16 started to look familiar. We saw it in 2009. You say, Joe, with the snow month.
Yeah.
Postponements, we're seeing City and Everton off, Spurs is off, all of this stuff. It's all very difficult to know what's happening. And unlike the snow, which you could see, becoming less of a problem in the coming months, you wonder if maybe this is going to get worse over the coming months. So, yeah, not great. Anchor asks, if we're free hitting Game Week 18, do we have to use a transfer in Game Week 17, as would it be lost? I'll answer that one quickly. Yes. Yeah. Otherwise you lose it. Yeah. So you might as well, because you'll be getting your team back. And also, just to dispel that popular myth, when you free hit, if you make a transfer and then you free hit, your team will go back to the team before you even took that transfer. Yeah. So any transfers you make on your free hit will be reverted back. So don't think you can, get ahead of the free hit, because you can't. Abby says, should we keep our blank and double? Should we rethink our blank and double plan in light of the COVID situation? Fit of PK says, what's our tactics to deal with the current disruption? I mean, that gif of that guy running around screaming comes to mind for me. KTK Interester says, is saving a wild card until game week 16 for a bench boost with a spike in COVID cases at a decisive moment in our season. Having this long between the wild card and bench boost is such a chaotic uncertain time with COVID. Canon was planning void. That's a very bleak outlook.
I'm finding people who've wildcarded, everything is absolutely fine. It's swimming and they've done the right thing. People who haven't wildcarded now is like, why people wildcarded? So basically you've got this split you always get with the chips. I absolutely hate it. I wish they'd just get some armies together and just fight it out. Because they go, I used my free hit here. Oh, I used my wild card here. And it just goes on like that. And it's so frustrating. Just use them. They might work. They might all get postponed. They might get snowed off. You don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, so that kind of hindsight isn't really useful. I mean, what we can do is try and work out what we're going to do. I mean, for me, it's not currently changing my plans. I'm still going ahead with the free hit in 18 and the double game week in 19. I think what will be interesting is if they add some games into 18, or if they make the double game week even bigger, might change the kind of the players that I bring in. But I still think that is how I'm going to set up. There's not much turnaround until 18, so I do wonder if they're going to really be able to add in a lot of fixtures into that. I mean, maybe we might see. I think it's more likely we might see City get a double game week, and maybe Spurs. Which will be interesting, and I've got a couple of those players anyway. So that kind of suits me quite well with my lineup. What about you, Rich? You mentioned free hitting. Your plans changing at all?
Yeah, so I'm going to try and stay flexible, but I'm definitely free hitting in 18. Unless something dramatic changes, that's my plan. And I want to get rid of my bench boost. So game week 19, that's my plan to bench boost. I could always backtrack and not play a chip. I don't think I'll triple captain in that week now, because like you mentioned, there's so many games to be rearranged. I almost feel like we might get a better opportunity than Salah. I mean, we could get a Harry Kane, for example.
Question for you though: are you not a bit worried about the bench boost in this period where there's so much uncertainty around COVID and increasing and all that? Is that not a bit of a worry?
I kind of hate the bench boost personally. I even considered bench boosting in game week 1 because I knew I'd be wildcarding early just to get rid of it. It just use you. I mean, look, I did a -8 this week to prepare for the bench boost. I might even do further hits, and then I'll probably want to do hits out the back of it as well. So
yep, because you've got to build your team strong for
it. Exactly. So I almost feel like I don't even know if it looks good, doesn't it, when someone screenshots their team and they've got 20-something points on the bench boost, but it doesn't tell the full picture sometimes. If I'd done this -8 this week and it went horrendously, and then I did a -8 next week and it went horrendously, and then my bench boost was good, I wouldn't say I've played it well. I'd say the bench boost just looks good. So it doesn't worry me that much. I mean, if it's wasted, it's wasted. I mean, last year my bench boost was only respectable because Rico, bless his soul, got subbed off early against Palace, I believe, and so he got a clean sheet and then they conceded. It's really thin margins
Rico.
with that chip.
What a guy.
Yeah, so it'll throw back to whenever it was. Probably only earlier this year, actually.
I remember him. I didn't have Lundstrom, but I had Rico, and he was on corners and stuff, wasn't he? 4 million Bournemouth defender.
Yeah, it was absolute bargain. When we
guy.
had all those 4 million defenders.
Yeah. Was that last year or the year before?
It was only last season.
Was it? God, it feels like ages ago.
It was only last season.
Yeah. Anyway, Joe, sorry, going a bit down memory lane with Rico. What's your plan?
Well, I mean, I'm sticking with the plan until I have to change the plan and have to be pragmatic with it. Now, I wasn't going to bench boost anyway, because as people have seen over the last few weeks, my bench has been absolute. Well, I'm just going to use the word pants. It's just been awful. I managed to get 3 points out of it this week, amazingly, but it's had 0 points. I haven't had -1 yet, but yeah, 0 points for many weeks. So for me, triple captaincy, Salah looks ideal for it. 2 home games. I've got Mane as well to further booster that. I like the idea of a Liverpool double game week. I think Salah's pretty nailed on. I think he's had his rest there, and I think with those fixtures, I think if there's any resting, might be in any cup games. But that is, as far as we know, what's going to happen. So if we think there's still going to be the blank game week 18, I'm not that geared up for that. So that's ideal free hit for me. Double game week 19. I'm geared up for that, and I have a little bit of Spurs. I'm looking at Kane to Vardy possibly, and for a hit, Calvert-Lewin to Danny Ings. I like the idea of Danny Ings for the double game week, if I feel he's going to last those 2 games. That's why I didn't get it. I haven't got him in. He came back by kind of surprise from injury. I'd like to see him a little bit more. I'd like to get a bit more information there. So as it stands, that's it. But we've seen this game week already. We've had 2 postponements. There's going to be more. This situation with COVID in the UK, for those outside of the UK, is the situation is getting worse. The area I live in, which is essentially a field, a music festival when it's on, and a tour and some cows, we're in tier 4, which is the highest tier. So if basically a field with some farmers in and cows is in this high risk area, then cities certainly are. So that's the situation it's going to be. They're talking about delaying schools going back. You're seeing certain managers like Sam Allardyce, quite rightly, as a 66-year-old man who is not a 25-year-old athletic man. He is going to be... he's worried about getting COVID because we're seeing people who get it, the shocking effect that it can have on people, maybe long-term conditions or even worse. I think we're going to be lucky not to have a break, and I think we got.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So I was going to. Do you think they care enough to have a break? Like they ship them all around the world for international matches. They ship them all around Europe for the Champions League. Like I think the biggest worry is the games with the lower league teams in the cups. But to me, the Premier League, I reckon they're just going to carry it on until someone literally drops dead. I don't know.
They can carry it on if they're in. They're meant to be in very secure bubbles, but how can you be when you've got families? When you've got families with friends and more family, and you're trying not to meet, but it's inevitable you're going to get the odd one or two, and then that's going to spread, especially because we've got new strains of the virus. So what I'm doing, I'm not going to use my transfer until I have to on the deadline. I think we've got a Friday deadline coming up next. So this coming Friday, New Year's Day. So I'll be using it an hour or so before I have to, or whenever the deadline is, I'll do it just before that. I'm not even going to do it the night before because we don't know what news is going to break in the morning. And even as we found out this week with Manchester City, they were postponed. Their game with Everton was postponed after the deadline. So there's players like yourself getting Cancelo in. I mean, obviously you wouldn't have got Cancelo in if the game was even a hint of not being on. So I think it's basic housekeeping with a team. If you're going to don't captain and vice captain players in the same match. Okay, just spread that out, spread that risk around here. So, for example, some people would have been caught out with Kane, Son, vice and captain. Some would have been caught out, through that ways. But then you get unfortunate ones where someone's got, say, maybe KDB as captain and then Kane as vice captain. So you've got no captain this week as well. That's unfortunate, and you can't prepare for that really. But you are just reducing the risk, I think. So what have I got this week? Kane and Salah. So Salah captain. I have no vice captain.
Go a step further? Sorry, Joe. Would you go a step further and so Everton's the first game, for example? Would you vice captain Calvert-Lewin because you knew he was going to play as a backup?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea, and I had thought of that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first games this week is just scrolling down is Everton against West Ham, exactly. And then in the evening is Manchester United Villa. So
that's a really good point.
So I think
I'm going to nick that.
I think
do that.
I think Calvert-Lewin or Fernandes, because they're playing on the Friday, will be my vice captain. And then my captain, which we'll talk about a bit later, will be another player. But I think Fernandes, I don't think Fernandes would be my captain choice, even is at home. I think Villa's defence is too good and it's at home. But I think, I'll have him for vice captain. So I think that's a really good point there. So it's just general housekeeping like that, really. Just look at that. You're looking at mitigating risk. So tripling up on teams. Maybe I'm not so keen on that now. I don't know. I mean, you're trying to mitigate against something you can't quite predict. So all you can do is the best that you can. But if Game Week 18 is going ahead as we think, and Game Week 19, then I'm sticking to that and triple captain for me there. And there's going to be another, as we spoke about last week, another double game week coming up in 26, I think it is. So if that's going ahead, I would prefer to wildcard before then, 24, 25, and then bench boost into that. So I've got as much information as I can. I mean, it's starting to get a bit tribal when I say those that wildcarded in Game Week 16 for a double game week in 19. At this current juncture, through no fault of their own, just because of COVID, I think they're going to struggle to get a full bench. But they could get lucky. But you just don't know what's going to happen. I think it's a bit too... There's too much of a gap. If you were wildcarding, say... If we were wildcarding, say, in 18, we're not going to because it's a blank game week, for example, and then, wildcarding into, 19, that's much nicer gap there, but I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to give a definitive answer. It's just the basic things of being careful, really. So yeah, that's what I think. But we've got the fixtures up on the screen, so people can see there that if you want to just play it ultra safe and just go, I'm not going to waste any of my chips here. I'm okay. I've got 6 or 7 players for blank game week 18. I've got 6 or 7 double game weekers. I want to get some just players. I don't care whether it's a double game week, blank game week. I just want to get some good players in with good fixtures, and we can see there Arsenal and City could be good. Could be good teams to invest in there. Arsenal got West Brom, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, and Southampton, and they're starting to come in to a little bit of form, I think. So I think the likes of Saka, someone I've got my eye on anyway for the blank game week 18. But I think if I'd used my chips or didn't want to use my chips, I'd be looking at these bargain Arsenal players myself. And I mentioned the likes of Tierney before. I know, as you mentioned Tierney many times on the Scoutcast this season and last. These have Bellerin as well. They've got double digit potential for.
It's Saka I like now.
Yeah, Saka's really good. Yeah, it's looking good. So yeah, let's move on to De Bruyne because we've got a picture of him up on the screen. But yeah, Rich, I don't know if you want to introduce this one because I know some people have been, me included, got rid of De Bruyne and thinking of doing so. But yeah, what's the discussion about here?
Yeah, and me. So it's close to my heart as well because, like I mentioned, I sold him this week for Bruno, and I think even without the postponement, there were a lot of managers, dumping him, for other premium midfielders. There's also the potential of these, City defenders, Cancelo, Diaz, and Stones, who've been putting up some pretty good numbers, probably better than De Bruyne most of the time. So we've got a few questions on that. So FPL Wilson simply asks if it's time for KDB to go. And we've also got Jules Loves This. Also asking about KDB's future in our teams. Also, is it time for Grealish to go? El Ghazi is outscoring him. So I think, maybe if I start here, why I got rid of De Bruyne. For me, it was just, I didn't want to do it. I love De Bruyne. He's on penalties. And he's putting up some pretty good numbers. It was just the fact that every single week Bruno has been, destroying my rank because of his ownership. And I wanted Kane and Son for these fixtures. Obviously, one of them has not happened today, but I wanted to target those Spurs fixtures. And obviously, Salah, he's someone you can trust as captain. If you're not sure what to do. So for me, it was just having to choose between De Bruyne and Bruno in my situation. But I'm not sure if the figures are on the screen, but he is putting up pretty good numbers, isn't he?
Yeah, the figures we got up on the screen, and this is for the last 4 matches. So I've sort of switched for these figures from game weeks to matches because we're getting these postponements. So it would be unfair to compare a player who's played twice or 3 times to one who's played 4. So this is the last 4 matches that they were available either as a sub or starting. And yeah, expected goal involvement there. De Bruyne was expected to be involved in 2.5 goals, and that's the third best out of these. What I'm focused on is the premium midfielders here. So in comparison to other premium midfielders, so yeah, that's just backs up what you were just saying.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting you've got Sterling above De Bruyne because one reason I was happy selling De Bruyne, knowing they've got good fixtures down the line, is because potentially I don't even have, when I was owning De Bruyne, I didn't even have the best Man City midfielder. I just find Sterling's a lot more explosive.
Ooh, that's going to cause some controversy.
So yeah, do you disagree, Az?
No, not really.
No, I don't either. I'm going to agree with you as well because I've had Sterling in my team for a while. When I wildcarded ages ago, I sort of made room for Sterling and De Bruyne. And I was genuinely umming and ahhing about which one to go. I ended up getting rid of Sterling and kept De Bruyne. And I got some points out of Sterling. But yeah, Sterling is starting to come into more form now. And I think having neither, if I was going to get one, like for long term, I'd get Sterling over De Bruyne. I agree.
Yeah. I think part of it as well is how Sterling finished last season. It propelled a lot of us up the ranks, didn't it? When, Sterling scoring, he scored a lucky hat-trick against your side, of course, against Brighton. But yeah, so that's another reason.
I for that, a very mixed thing.
Yeah. But by the time they scored a couple, you might as well get the third. It was a meaningless goal, that wonder header, wasn't it? The diving.
Well, I'm laughing and celebrating. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh God, yeah.
But yeah. They do have brilliant fixtures coming up, but I'm not even sure which Man City midfielder I want. So that's another reason I was willing to let go. What do you think, Az?
Well, I've been pretty staunch on De Bruyne. I'm probably one of the only people who haven't owned him at all Over the run that he had. Everyone had him, captain against West Brom and had him captain against who was it? He got a Fulham when he got a big haul. But I watch him and I'm impressed with him because I'm always impressed with De Bruyne. He's the best player in the league. It's ridiculous to say he's not impressive because he always is, and his numbers are good. But 11.7 million for a player who hasn't scored from open play all season. It's too much. He's not a 9.5 million midfielder anymore. He's in that elite bracket of your Salahs and your Manes and your these kind of guys who are who you pay the money because they're so consistent and because you watch them and they're always looking dangerous, always looking threatening. He's got the insurance of the penalties, which is amazing for anyone in the Man City team. For him to have that is huge, but it's just not enough. I don't think he is justifying that money. The flip side to it, however, is their fixtures are absolutely outrageous. I mean, in game week 18, they got Brighton at home, and then Palace at home, and then West Brom away, and then Sheffield United at home, and then Burnley away. So it's going to be a real test to not own at least him or Sterling.
I feel like we've seen this story before because one of the reasons my rank is so bad is because I wildcarded early for 3 Man City. I went Sterling, De Bruyne and Foden. And that was because they had a stretch of fixtures like that. And they didn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, it's also rotation as well. I mean, yes, De Bruyne should be safe here, but how many times have been called out? Because they've got so many fixtures postponed now. There's going to be so many double game weeks. I mean, I don't know, triple game weeks, are we going to see them? But who is going to play? Who is going to play week in, week out? And you would think De Bruyne is, but he has spoken about needing breaks, and sometimes he has looked quite tired, and sometimes he looks great. So
I don't think with Salah, with Kane, with Son, and with Fernandes, there is room for De Bruyne, and that is mad when you think about it. But I mean, Joe obviously has had loads of success with the four premiums. That's not really a strategy that I want to go down, and it's working for you. It's great, but I'm trying to stay a bit more kind of balanced in a way. And I think those players you just mentioned are ahead of De Bruyne currently.
Yeah.
I think Cancelo, and the reason I got Cancelo is because I really do think he is the key one to own. He's 5.5 million. He's first choice right back and he's first choice left back somehow. So he's got basically playing 2 positions every week. But I watched him in the last match they played, and it was like watching just someone absolutely possessed. Like the amount of chances he was creating, the positions he was getting into. He was really unlucky to come away with that game with no attacking returns.
The highlights were even more amazing to watch because each highlight was basically all Man City. Cancelo was Man City. I mean, and some of the finishing and some of the just not quite getting on the end of his crossing.
I know.
And that could have been a monster haul. That could have been a monster haul.
I compared him on Black Box to Lamptey because he's
not that good.
He's not quite that good, but no, in the sense that he's a very, very attacking player who hasn't really got the returns that his performances merit. But the thing you get with Cancelo that you don't get with Lamptey is you get the fallback of the clean sheets. With 5 in 6 clean sheets for Man City. So he's getting you 6 points regularly. I've got a feeling his ceiling is going to be up in the 15, 16, 17 mark. So he's a player that I want long term. So that's why I moved Chilwell out.
Yeah, I think, for me, so looking at, say, free hit and blank game week 18, because that's when we're going to be thinking about City. I think for me, judging on news, Sterling, Cancelo, and then there's a third place up for grabs. And I'm not sure at this stage will it be De Bruyne, or I will just go ultra safe and go for someone like Ederson, or just at least I know they're going to play, and I just don't know who they're going to play. There's going to be fixture congestion all over the shop, so I'm not sure there. As I said, we've got the stats up on the screen there. In expected goal involvement last 4 matches, Bruno Fernandes is absolute top there. Created 10 chances, 3 goals, expected to be involved in. More than 3 actually, just over 3. Sterling second, then De Bruyne, and then Mane, and then Rashford and Salah. Aubameyang creeping up there, scored once in his last 4 matches, and then Son moving in as well. Just hanging around. What we've had before, when we had Ted on the show before, and I know you've been on the Matchday Scoutcast with Ted as well, Rich, and one of the interesting things he does is that looking at small chances and big chances and then matching them up against teams that concede lots of small chances and big chances. Son is a big chance kind of guy. So you're not going to get like acres and acres of chances there, but he will take that chance. He'll get that big chance and he will take it. He's so accurate. So looking down there, but there is a caveat. So this is for those that want to cling on to KDB. There is some good news, and I've got my goals
imminent table.
Yeah, I haven't got a picture of it yet, so just put it in. But I shall read out there. So this is once again last 4 matches, and this is a minimum of 10 goal attempts, but a maximum of only 1 goal. So that suggests there's more there. I've also framed it around the expected goal minimum. So looking at whether they should expected to score more as well, using the old expected goals metric that some people love and some people don't like. So absolutely top is Trezeguet and Watkins, the Villa guys, and then third is De Bruyne. So De Bruyne has had 2 big chances and he has missed 2 big chances, but he has had 11 goal attempts, no goals. 5 of those have been in the box and 4 of them are on target. Around half his shots there are close range and they are on target. This is good news. The fact he's third, I think that if they can get a viable striker going, an Aguero or Jesus can recover, his chances created will lead to assists. But I also think that he is shooting so frequently, really, for a midfielder. Surely one's going to go in eventually, and as I said, there's good fixtures there, so there is some hope. Also in the goals imminent table, we've got Martial, Grealish, Werner's just always there. He's the Nathan Redmond of this season's goals imminent table. Jamie Vardy, more to come from him. Benteke is often here, but Benteke has been scoring recently, and then it goes McBurney and Aubameyang might be interesting. Aubameyang is there, especially because he plays in 18 as far as we know there. So yeah, KDB could be good. I don't know. Before we move on, Rich, you got any sort of final comments you want to make about premium mids or other as putting his finger up?
I was just going to ask, because one of the questions, I'm very polite tonight, you see, raising my hand. Don't want to just interrupt everyone. The only other thing was the question we had about Grealish, because if you look at the stats, I was writing an article for Scout last night, and the chance created stats. I think Grealish has got double the amount of chances created than any other player over the last 4 weeks. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. But obviously without Barkley there, it does kind of feel like teams have got more of a kind of handle on him, and it's been El
Ghazi.
Traore as well.
As your mic has maybe a lead has come out, but you were exclaiming about El Ghazi, and yes, El Ghazi.
I was. Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, perfect now. Yeah, it was the lead thing. And
Traore as well was really impressive. So I don't know if either of you are thinking about either of those when Villa's fixtures turn better.
I am, especially with the double game week. They're exactly there. I mean, they're really kindly priced, and so there. If there's a double game week involving Villa in game week say 26 or so, I will want a wild card into a lot of Villa. And then I mean, I don't think I've owned Grealish at all this season, and he's just one of those players. Is because I don't have him in. It doesn't mean that I don't rate him or don't like him or don't want him in my team. It just never sort of works out, and he is the player I want to have all the time. But there's other players or other strategies come to mind. But I watched that game, and he's amazing, isn't he? The last Villa game. God, I don't want to put Villa down. If he was in a better team with better players, he would be on for a haul every single week. But the chances he was creating out of absolutely nothing were incredible. And they just weren't coming off. But I guess on their day,
it's in the league. Be careful.
I know. Them too much. No, I know. No, well, you know what I mean. Though it's just I was watching it and I was thinking, Ollie Watkins, you could be. God, if you were another striker, then Grealish would be on so many assists.
It almost makes me like Watkins a little bit more. Like I know he's not being very clinical, but he gets a lot of chances for that price. And I mean, if he wastes the chances, so be it. I don't know. I just think Watkins for that price, maybe even Barkley and like as mentioned, El Ghazi as well. They're just cheaper, aren't they?
I think he's the stand. When Barkley's back, Watkins is, because I've got Che Adams and he's blank now against Fulham and West Ham. I'm looking, and then I had Mopay, and you got Callum Wilson around that price as well. But I do think Watkins, once the fixtures turn again, they've got a couple of rough ones, but he's someone I'm looking at getting in. But I know quite a few people that own him, and they get very, very frustrated, frustrated with his blanks.
Watkins second on the goals imminent table. 3 big chances created, 3 big chances in total, rather 3 big chances missed. 16 goal attempts, 15 inside the box. A third of those on target. 15.
Yeah. And VAR have taken a couple of goals off of him. Yeah. Obviously, missed that penalty as well.
Yeah, like his sleeve or his whatever. It's harsh.
He's been very unlucky, Watkins.
Sorry, someone in the live chat was claiming that Salah had scored, which of course he hasn't. So I was getting partially excited.
Kick him, admin.
Well, I've waved him goodbye. So he won't be saying that again. And then, shall we move on to the captaincy? Game week 17 captaincy. So hopefully we've got the fixtures going ahead. So let's get the fixtures up on the screen. Now we usually do this with David every week. And we run through the different options. But we'll do it a bit differently this time. We'll just sort of find out who your best options are. I've got a picture of Son and Kane on here. They're playing Leeds. To me, that says captaincy. One of these two, whichever you've got. Could be Son even the way Leeds defence is against these types of teams. We've if we assume the fixtures taking place, Salah or Mane away to Southampton, there could be good options. Obviously Spurs at Leeds, and we have had a mention of Zaha as well. So Chelsea 91 ask who is our captaincy on, and this is where I mentioned Zaha. Is this a good time to go for a differential like Zaha? Looking down the list, Palace are playing Sheffield United, who are one of the whipping boys at the moment. And just a general question about who our captaincies are and why. So I've already said I think that Son and Kane are, and I've got some figures I'll put up in the screen in a minute. But go to you first, Rich. Who are you captaining Game Week 17 and why?
So I have Kane and Son, and I mean, like I said earlier, the reason I've got them was for these 2 games, in particular the Leeds game. So one of them is going to be captained. I think it's going to be Kane because he's one of my favourite players in FPL and he's on penalties. But there is part of me that thinks that Son could suit the game more. It's definitely going to be a Spurs player, and I haven't got long to decide, and I'm sure it will end up on Kane, just because I like Harry Kane. But it does seem to be the standout fixture for me. If I was looking at a differential one, though, West Brom looked awful yesterday. I don't even know.
You're going to say Aubameyang, aren't you?
Yeah, I've seen worse captains. Let's put it that way.
That's a glowing endorsement. I've seen worse. Yeah, Shane Duffy.
Yeah.
How did Liverpool draw 1-1 with that West Brom side that got beaten by Leeds? They were absolutely. It's one of the worst performances I've ever seen from a team. That West Brom game.
It's like Sam Allardyce the week before going, I know how to beat, I know how to get a result at Anfield, and then suddenly it's just like, my team are rubbish.
There was a couple of opportunities that Salah had that weren't registered as shots. So I think it was Robertson whipped it in and he missed the ball by about a centimetre. I feel like if they'd gone in the first half, maybe then West Brom would have just crumbled like they did against Leeds. But that didn't happen.
To go into half time with only 1-0 down, I think really kind of galvanised them and things. And then when Jones just booted the ball out for that corner, and it's like, come on, what Sam Allardyce is going to do. All he wants is free kicks and corners. Don't give them corners out of nothing. It was. I'm mostly not excited. The 2 Liverpool defenders. I just knew West Brom were going to score because they were all over them second half. It was pathetic.
And then they couldn't score any set pieces against one of the shortest teams in the league yesterday.
I know.
It's crazy.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
No wonder Sam wants a break. Just go and sort them out.
So, Az, what do you think? Captain this week?
Yeah, I'm with Rich. I think, it's I think it's the week to take a bit of not a punt, but it's, because we've seen in previous weeks, it's been so obvious who to captain. I mean, it's been all look at the effective ownership of Salah the last 2 weeks or Fernandes the week before. It's, it hasn't really led to much kind of difference in the captain. But this week you've got Salah against Southampton, which is always going to be a good game for Salah. But Southampton have looked quite good defensively, not scoring but keeping clean sheets, and that's without Vestergaard as well. So he might be back to boost them. You got Fernandes at home at Villa. Villa are good away from home, and limited Chelsea the other night to few chances. I don't fancy Fernandes. Again, both so reliable normally, so you wouldn't back against them. But I think that Spurs Leeds game, that could be anything. Like that, if there isn't 4 or more goals in that game, I know Spurs are quite a defensive team at times, but you mentioned Son, Rich. I honestly think that game has got Son written all over it. And my biggest concern was that there isn't much time between Spurs playing today and the game they've got against Leeds at the weekend. But Leeds have played and Spurs have got an even bigger rest.
It's a great
and
point.
I just think, like, if you're looking at Son and the counter-attack team, I mean, Eiling last night wasn't good again. He's not a very good centre-back. He's a great player, but he misses balls. He doesn't read the game particularly well from centre-back. So Spurs are definitely going to get chances. And I think Kane or Son are my standouts. I'd be torn between them if I own them both. I'd probably go with Kane for the insurance of the penalties, but I'm going with Son in my own team.
Yeah, I'm backing Spurs here, and here's some. I'll put some stats up on the screen now. So these are some of the stats we tend to draw on in the captaincy video. We've got the fixtures. We've got the last 4 matches, big chances conceded, and then last 4 matches, expected goal involvement. So I've broadened that out. We had the premium midfielders before, so I broadened that out. And what you're generally looking for is someone who's high up in the expected goal involvement recently against one of these so-called whipping boys who've conceding lots of chances. And yes, whilst Kane and Son aren't actually on that list in terms of expected goal involvement, I look at some of the fixtures they've got there, and I look at the type of fixtures they've had against a team like Leeds, a more attacking, more high line side. Now, Spurs being counter-attacking, I do think this is a very good game for Son, and when it's a good game for Son, it's also a good game for Kane, because we've seen with the expected goal involvement, Salah's just missed a huge chance. Is this true?
He has. That's what my eyes.
Okay.
If you saw my eyes,
I saw your eyes.
There,
your eyes.
Because of that.
You said it all with your eyes.
It's terrible. Should have scored.
Oh well. So looking at those stats there, I do think that Son and Kane will do well against Leeds, and we can see Leeds big chances conceded. They're second only to Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace are the worst at the moment. They've conceded 15 big chances. West Brom up there, 11 big chances. Sheffield United, 11 big chances. West Ham, 11 big chances, and Liverpool, who may get a clean sheet tonight. But one of the reasons I didn't.
Oi, don't jinx it.
No, but one of the reasons I saw them up here. I thought 11 big chances conceded. Matip not there. Van Dijk not there. I just thought, against a team like Newcastle, we might get a clean sheet. But some of the other teams, Southampton, I'm not sure they're going to get a clean sheet. Southampton coming up. And then I looked down that list of big chances conceded. We got Villa, just 2. Man City, they're doing really well. And then I look at Southampton as well. Southampton's defence, Everton's defence is getting better. Tottenham, all of these teams are conceding very few big chances, which is what the captaincy options should thrive on. So looking down the list, expected goal involvement, El Ghazi at Villa, but he's against Manchester United. But would I captain El Ghazi? I don't think so. But if you're up for a differential, he is the top performing player at the moment, according to underlying stats. Fernandes is second, always a reliable option. He'd probably be my vice captain, especially because he's playing on that Friday. And then you've got Martial, more to come from him. Chris Wood, I'm not going to go there myself, but I know other people have. Bamford against Spurs. Bamford ordinarily would be a good captaincy or vice captaincy option, but Tottenham conceded just 4 big chances the last 4 matches. Sterling and De Bruyne, they're in the mix as well. And Giroud, if you think he's going to start. Then Chelsea against Man City, and then you look at who's playing, it's Man City. So in terms of matchups, I think Kane and Son versus Leeds is probably the best, and I think you just want them to turn up and do well. So vice captains for me, Fernandes. Salah is, I think Salah's not a captaincy option this week, more vice captaincy option, and I just hope Mane does well against his old team when he goes to Southampton.
My advice is Calvert-Lewin. I'm taking Richard's advice.
Yeah, no, Calvert-Lewin is a good shout against West Ham. As we can see, West Ham have conceded 11 big chances. That puts them essentially joint third worst defence over the last 4 matches. Other options are intriguing. Mentioned Zaha there against Sheffield United. Palace aren't the greatest outfit in the world, but Zaha is a good player. If they're going to score, chances are he'll be involved. You mentioned the Arsenal assets against West Brom. Looking at Leicester against Newcastle. Now, Newcastle are currently keeping Liverpool at bay, but Jamie Vardy away is a good option. If I didn't
rest now as well.
Yeah, if Spurs hadn't got such a great fixture against Leeds, Vardy would be in that slot in my team definitely, because he's had that nice rest. He himself was rested as well. So he's got that out of the way. So you've got that added security that very occasional Jamie Vardy rest is not coming here. So I think it is a good week to be different if you want to go there, because I don't think a lot of the big options are that great apart from Spurs. So yeah, that's the conclusion I will come to.
Is the one worry of Vardy though? If you get him, you're going to want him for the double, obviously.
Yeah.
But that rest might show that he's not really capable of playing 2 games in quick succession, because he's got the game on the 16th of Jan and then the game on the 19th. So is he going to be managed a bit in those games? He's getting on a bit now, bless him.
Well, let's have a look at the next 4 fixtures, because that'll explain a bit more what Leicester have got. So yeah, so they've got Southampton and Chelsea at home, and then followed by Everton in game week 20, but they do have that blank in game week 18. That's what the blank in game week 18 is, the bit where I think he could go into it could go into Southampton and Chelsea in game week 19 with a rest, effectively another rest. That's the hope. But yeah, I mean, I think you could probably use that sort of train of thought on pretty much any player who are playing at the moment 3 days after each other. I think, we've seen Salah being benched. We've seen Vardy, obviously. There was even talk of Kane getting a bench if their match had gone on. But I think their backup striker is injured for a tiny bit, and Gareth Bale's injured, so that probably seems unlikely. The stats we got up on the screen are, we've gone back to the next 4 fixtures, and in this section, we also just point out we partner with Football Index, so there may also be players to look at buying through there. That's where you can buy and sell shares in players using fantasy football knowledge with the aim to make a profit. Looking at these fixtures here: Arsenal top, Man City, Burnley. This is what I wanted my Charlie Taylor. Fulham, Manchester United, Wolves and West Ham. According to the fixture ticker, I've got the best fixtures over their next 4 matches. Well, more than that in some cases. What do you think? Go Rich first. This probably sums up what we've been talking about all along. Are there any particular players or teams you're targeting looking at the fixtures? Any ones you're looking to avoid?
Yeah, I think we've covered a few of the players I'm looking at already. I mean, I think ones that stand out would be Rashford, and you mentioned Mane as well. I feel like, because I'm now on Bruno, I feel like I need something to add to Bruno, as because it seems like a lot of people have Bruno. Rashford's looked pretty good, apart from having that shoulder injury. So I think one of the choice I'm going to have to make at some point soon is the choice between Rashford and Mane, and obviously there's quite a big price difference. So from an attacking standpoint, it's those 2. And then defensively, I think I'd be looking at Soufal. I know a lot of people have him already, but he's had his rest. That double looks incredible. I mean, Burnley and West Brom, it does not get much better than that. So yeah, they're the main ones I'm looking at over the next couple of game weeks for the next 4. Obviously, I've already tripled up on Leeds attackers.
Yeah,
I know the numbers you just showed like it make their games look a little bit trickier. I didn't realise how good Southampton have been defensively, but I just think Leeds against anyone, they can turn it on. And like we already mentioned, that Tottenham game, Leeds-Tottenham, that could be 3-3, 4-3, 2-2. There's goals in that game. So Leeds attackers as well. Yeah,
no, that's very wise. I mean, I'm looking at Dallas or Leeds defender but because well, apart from Ayling, they're getting attacking returns, and I just have a sort of a Leeds cheap defender space in my team, with Charlie Taylor's injury now, so he's got a hamstring injury, so we're not sure how long he's out for. But yeah, I agree. I think Leeds fixtures look really good, and they're just, I don't know, they're everyone's favourite second team. Bizarrely, I mean, having grown up in the 70s and 80s, that is weird, because they were everyone's most hated team for about 20 years of my life, and suddenly everyone's favourite second team. But I can see why. They're really fun to watch, and they're not. If they go down, they're going to go down in a glorious demotion if possible. But yeah, Az, what do you reckon looking at these fixtures?
Yeah, it's tricky because a lot of the teams with good fixtures don't have the double. So the two at the top there are Arsenal and City. Yeah. Assuming they don't get a double, as soon as City, I think, are maybe slightly more likely now. It's hard to know what to do, because obviously you want a City player in, but at the same time you also want to be getting in double players for that 19. But then they've got Palace at home, and I look at someone like Cancelo, and I think he could match or outscore a lot of the defenders who have got the double game week. So that's why I got him in, because I just thought I just want him going forward, and he's got a good game in that 19 match anyway. Burnley are interesting because they've got Fulham next, which is great, and then a blank, but then their double is West Ham away and Liverpool away. A lot of people are going to have like Soucek. Antonio's back now; he's another option. And then Liverpool, we're not banking anything there, so I don't know. Charlie Taylor would have been the only one I'd go for, but I think if you've got him and he's out, then I don't think I'd move to someone like Peters or someone like that. I think moving maybe even to someone like Balbuena. Because look at West Ham's double game week. It's fantastic. Burnley at home, West Brom.
But Balbuena is my other option. Because in the back of my mind, I like to keep some money spare, and Balbuena is a good Charlie Taylor. We did have some questions about Charlie Taylor, so this sort of answers them really. So if you've got him in, I think Balbuena is a good option. But you've probably maybe already got Kufau, might have Cresswell. So what put me off slightly at the moment was going fully into West Ham like that. So if there is a postponement, I've got three, of good cheap players gone, and I haven't got a strong enough bench to withstand that. So that's what's putting me off slightly. And I just feel with Leeds, I've only got Bamford at the moment. And if Leeds are going to turn it on, so looking at their double game week, Brighton and Southampton at home. Especially Brighton. I'm not sure about Southampton, but definitely the Brighton match. I think I want more Leeds. And I think with my setup, it would be someone like Dallas. But yeah, just before we move on to Rich is going to pick a differential, I just want to say that Football Index, they've got a 7-day £500 money back guarantee, and there's a link in the description below to sign up. And also a link to check out the terms and conditions. This is for 18 plus only. Please gamble responsibly, and you can check out begambleaware.org, and there's a link for this in the description as well. So onto the differential. Now we've had some success. Sam picked Firmino, not doing so well tonight, but she picked him just before a mega haul at Palace. Seb picked Cancelo, which would have been amazing if Cancelo had played, if Man City had played. So good choice. But Rich, who is your low-owned gem, 5% or lower, for the next 4 game weeks?
So there's no pressure then.
No, there isn't any.
Do you know what? I really wanted to say Ben Rama, who I've just removed from my team, but I'm not going to.
I can't believe he's not playing.
I know.
He's so good.
And he should have scored when he came on. He
should
have scored when he came on. It's just, it's quite frustrating, but there seems to be quite a bit of rotation and formation changes at the moment with West Ham, so just can't touch him, but I think he's one for the future. So I feel it's a bit more boring, but I've gone for Martinelli at 0.7% owned. Obviously yesterday when the 4 games were on at once, I was watching the Arsenal-Brighton game for the watch along. I thought Saka looked a lot more impressive, but he also went off. He took a knock. He looked quite upset, but then he was smiling after the game. So I'm not sure if he's going to play in the short term. So I'm just going to go for Martinelli. Arsenal, they were top of the fixture list as well, so that always helps.
Very highly rated, isn't he, by Arsenal fans?
The only thing that worries me with him is Lacazette, because I noticed when when Lacazette came on, obviously Aubameyang went out wide, but he can play central sometimes, Martinelli. So I'm going for him.
When back in the days where we could see people, Arsenal were a team I used to watch quite a bit. A friend of mine's an Arsenal fan, so I'd go around his place and we'd watch the Arsenal matches. And Martinelli was always the one. Really enjoyed watching him, and he's the one I know a lot of Arsenal fans really rave about. And when he turns it on, he's really good young prospect, like Saka as well. I think Saka's a good option. I'm not sure. I haven't checked his ownership as well, but Martinelli, below 5%. I think it's a good option. And West Brom, I think it's a good option to get in now. West Brom, we've seen what they're all about. Game week 17. Are you about to tell me?
Oh, sorry. Just an amazing save from Alisson.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Like
all these updates they're all sort of non-updates. Well, there are updates, but they're sort of here's something that didn't happen.
But I bet Az is sweating right now. With the
I really have. Robertson's on for 9.
So you
got about 14, 15 points on the go here.
So what's Robertson on? 3 bonus, 2 bonus, do you reckon?
Yeah.
And
he's on 3. He's on 3 at the moment.
Alexander-Arnold must be on 1.
He's on 1.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's pretty standard.
To get off a triple Chelsea defence, because I literally at times I couldn't even watch it. Like the last 10 minutes.
It's not worth this. It's not worth it. I tell you.
It's meant to be a game. Yeah.
Looking at Arsenal's fixtures, West Brom, and then Crystal Palace at home and Newcastle. So they are playing in game week 19. They don't have a double, but they've got Newcastle at home, and then they got Southampton game week 20. So reasonable fixtures there. I think the hardest there is Southampton, and that's now in game week 20. So you've at least got 3 really good fixtures coming up for Arsenal. Martinelli, if he's not going to start, he's going to get minutes. I'm sure of that. So if Lacazette starts, Martinelli might replace him. So
I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good one. I think that's a classic differential. None of this Firmino business or Sterling, which I was trying to advocate the other day. None of these obvious ones. This is a real low owned, under the radar gem that Arsenal fans know a lot about, and perhaps some other FPL managers might not know about. But yeah, he's really good. So yeah, good choice.
Mane off the line, Joe.
Almost swore. Apparently Saka is 4.2% owned, so he'd be my in brackets backup differential to that one.
I think they're both brilliant. It was just the injury, because he got man of the match yesterday as well, Saka. So.
The live chat is talking about cracking goal line clearance from...
Oh my word! Yeah, Mane. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he's so unlucky.
I think it looks worse in slow motion, but yeah.
How long have we got left of the Liverpool game for my Mane?
9 minutes.
9 minutes. So I've got 9 minutes. Mane and Salah, they're obviously still on. Okay. Yep. Okay, no pressure. It's not like I need any points this week. Let's move on to what we're going to do game week 17. So we talked a lot about captaincy preferences and transfers. So I'll go first. I've got McCarthy, Justin Stones and Kufau. I'm quite happy with that. And then in a 3-4-3, Soucek, Mane, Fernandes, Salah. I've got vice captaincy on Salah, but I'm probably going to switch that to Fernandes. Calvert-Lewin against West Ham, Kane captain, Bamford, and then on my bench the injured Taylor, who's probably going to become Dallas in preparation for game week double game week 19. But a good option, a good option. Mitchell I don't anticipate playing, and Stevens for 1 point, hopefully there. So yeah, that's me really. So yeah, it'll be a very sort of boring enforced change to beef up my bench slightly and remove an injured player. So let's move on to you. You've got Martinez in goal, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo. So that's a very strong defence there. And then Salah, Fernandes, Son captain, Rafinha, Soucek, and then in 3-5-2 you've got Bamford and Calvert-Lewin up top, and Aylings, Adams, and Mitchell bold benching Adams against the Liverpool side without their top choice defenders because they were injured. But yeah, you're going to tempted to make any changes, or have you?
Well, I've got to back the double Liverpool defence, haven't I? I can't be playing Che Adams against both of them. Yeah. Goal line. He's offside. Sorry, getting a bit distracted. Yeah, so I don't know what's happening with Cancelo, because obviously the City-Chelsea game, I assume, is going to go ahead. I don't know if Cancelo is one of the people affected by COVID. I saw some rumours that he was. We know it's definitely Ederson. Ederson has definitely got it. So he's going to be out for a bit. That's been confirmed.
Oh, right.
By City Extra. Not sure on Cancelo. So going to wait for some news on that. I need to use a transfer. I'm in the same position as Rich. So my thinking, hopefully what I'll be able to do is just do Eiling to Dallas, because Dallas is just such a superior option to Eiling in pretty much every conceivable way. So, what I've got really no major issues to address. That seems like quite a sensible
so you're doing same move as me in a way.
Yeah, so pretty simple. My other option is just to do Mitchell to Balbuena as well. So that gives me. I want to have a West Ham defender in place for that double game week. So it'll be one of those two, but whichever one I bring in, I'll hopefully bench. If Cancelo's out though, it might be Cancelo back to Chilwell. because City aren't going to have a right back. Which you've got to remember, if Cancelo and Walker are both out, who the hell are they going to play at right back? And Chilwell is getting forward so much at the moment that I fancy him.
He should have scored at the end as well.
Oh God, that would really have.
Also, I mean, it's a fresh move as well. So back in your mind, you're thinking, I've just got rid of Chilwell and I've got Cancelo, and then I'll go back to him again. But it's just a fresh move. You're just going for Chilwell.
Just one of those things, isn't it? Like you can't predict something like COVID happening, and you can't beat yourself up about it. Like it's just completely out of your control. So if Chilwell's now the best option around the 6 million mark, which I think he is, and Cancelo's going to be out for an indiscriminate amount of time with coronavirus, then I've got to just suck it up and go back to him. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, anyway, one of those 3 minutes.
Yeah, team's in a good shape though, and sort of a bit like me on the transfer front. It's like a bit of a tidy up move. It's
a lot better. The -8 I took last week has really helped.
Yeah.
I think.
Rich, moving on to your team, you've got a 3-5-2 as well. Johnston, Robertson, Zuma and James at the back. Salah, Fernandez, Son, Rafinha and Harrison. Kane captain, and Bamford. And then on your bench you've got Balbuena, Brewster, Kilman and Martinez. So gearing up for that for the double game week 19. Are you planning any moves after your audacious your Marks and Spencer's influence -8?
So my Marks and Spencer's -8. It was so I could set up because I had to use, like I mentioned earlier, I have to use this transfer. So I've got enough now. Kilman, he annoyingly dropped, but I've still got. I can spend up to 4.8 million on a replacement for him. So I'm looking at Soufal, which would give me the double.
Yeah.
The double West Ham defenders. I mean, they're obviously quite popular at the moment. So I think that's going to be my most likely. And so it's quite a boring move, really. So bring in Soufal. And then I've just got a dilemma if I play the Chelsea defenders or not. Yeah. Because obviously they're against City. But then it might be a weakened City if that game goes ahead.
It could be a 0-0.
I could hedge my bets as well.
It could be a 0-0. If it's a 0-0 and they both play, I mean, and then you'll be looking at possible bonus as well to add into that.
Well, this is the thing, because I remember when Chelsea played Spurs, I had Son and Kane, and then I had 3 Chelsea defenders, and it was I think that was 0-0, and so I got it was like a no lose situation there. No, but obviously I don't have City players in this circumstance. So to be honest, I probably will play the Chelsea players because I know they're not quite premiums in price, but I think they are premium assets in a way. I mean, they're far superior to the West Ham ones. I'm going to regret saying that, aren't I? And then
Zuma's got such a goal for it as well, isn't he? So there's always a chance he gets a header.
I was shocked that he was dropped. I really didn't even expect Zuma not to play. I knew Silva wouldn't play, and I think that's why I thought Zuma would. But yeah, and the only weird quirk, I guess, about my game week is I'm going to have 5 players in the same game, 5 attacking players in the same game. I've got my 3 leads and 2 spares. But
so if that game's postponed, then you just...
do you know what, Joe? I hadn't even thought of that. Well, I was just thinking, what if it's 0-0?
You should just get a tractor and just ram raid Marks and Spencer's. Just attack it like cheap suits flying everywhere. Pants and socks.
If that's postponed, I may well do that. But fingers crossed. I mean, I guess if it doesn't get postponed and it goes ahead and it's 0-0, at least I've got 3 clean sheets for midfielders. So that's something.
The small things.
Yeah, that's what I told myself not having Dallas. I had 2 Leeds midfielders at least.
Yeah, no, that's good. Once again, you're in a similar position as well. You're sort of all set. You're settled, and it's just sort of a tidy up move. And I don't know about you, but I've this sort of trepidation about moves at the moment. I don't know whether games are going to go ahead, so I'm just being a bit more cautious and careful. And I had two free transfers last week, so I've used them, but I sort of didn't. I was even a bit cautious about doing that now, and I certainly wouldn't want to be using 2 free transfers this week. I wouldn't know what to do with them. And
I guess it's just free hitting. I guess you have to use them, don't you? But you know what? It's funny you say that, because I've been quite cautious all season. I've been trying to carry 2 transfers when I can. I've not been doing any hits.
Yeah.
I think my last one was game week 8, and then obviously I've come on the show and done a -8. But generally, I am quite. And this game week spooked me a bit as well. So I'm the same. It's just because we have to use a transfer this week. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd love to roll it and have 2 coming out, because then I could decide what to do with the Spurs guys, after the blank. But
you've got the. I mean, just thinking ahead. I mean, I've got Kane, and I'll either keep him or move him to Vardy. And you've got Kane and Son. Are you looking to Son to Rashford? I think you mentioned.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite good, because I can look at Vardy, I can look at Mane, I can look at Rashford. All after this blank game week. I mean, I'm probably going to have to do a hit, because I need to upgrade Brewster as well. But I'm going to be quite flexible coming out of the blank, but it probably will mean a -8.
Honestly, I think for a double game week, a hit is not a problem.
Especially my bench boost, potentially.
Every time we've had a double game week, and if I either haven't used a hit, I wish I had, or if I had, it's always paid off. Because all they have to do is show up, and it's more or less covered. Especially often if you're moving out a player who's maybe not playing or injured. It's definitely worth doing. So I don't take a lot of hits, but I don't mind in a double game week.
The good thing about Rashford as well is he comes straight out of the double into a really nice fixture against Sheffield United.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, game week 20, and starting to look ahead a bit. So fingers crossed we can actually have some fixtures back, and also that everyone is safe. All these players, we forget, all these players they aren't just little shirts on the screen. These are humans with families, and some will have quite maybe long-term effects of COVID, and some hopefully, because they're fit and healthy, will be okay. But before we go, just want to mention a lot of our stats we've had from the members area there. So I've been using that a bit for the especially the comparison tool when I make rare transfers these days. But expected goal involvement is something I've been looking at recently. But lots of members tables in there, and of course the goals imminence table, which we described a bit earlier. But for now, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you, Rich, for your debut on the Scoutcast. It'd be good to see you again. But it's a goodbye from me.
Yeah, and just a note from me that this is going to be my last regular Scoutcast for a while. Which is sad, because we've been doing this for a few years now. Just want to say thanks to everyone for listening to me ramble on and for all the support. But Joe, you're going to be joined by a new regular host going forward. So be looking forward to listening to it. Okay, good night, everyone.
Well, that is it. It's a long-term good night for you, and Rich, it's a goodbye from you. But hopefully you'll be back soon.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, good night.